Hi there. So I'm getting a cold here. My voice is still okay though. Yeah, I think. But I'm extremely tired. This night my nose was so, it was so thick, so I couldn't sleep. I mean, yeah. I got up right like 3 a.m. or something. I tried to sit and sleep because it was easier, but I feel good though. I feel awesome. And I know I kind of talk to you now, but whatever, the date is 10th of October now. Maybe I shouldn't do videos until I've gotten all this eating habit in order, really. But I've discovered this new thing. There is a lot of new things I discover every day. It's a little bit intense. One of those things is that I always think I resolved this whole puzzle with the eating, and I mean, it's 2019 now, 10th of October. We're Thursday, Thursday, and yeah. So whenever I upload this, maybe it shows that date. Then I don't know. Doesn't really matter, because I think whenever anyone comes across it, it's for you right now. Then time don't exist, this whole thing. Yeah, so but I have gotten a little bit of an understanding of new things. One is the whole look, it looks like a tree. I mean, like a tree person there. On the bottom there, almost alien tree person. Do you see it? Kind of large. Well, anyways, I want. Now in my imagination, I think I have fever. Okay. Yeah, well, anyways, this whole tension and release thing, it comes back in all areas, and I'm very pushy, and I press like forward, especially if I want something. But then again, there are certain things that that I fear a little bit though, and then I push, and that's kind of a backward technique that I have. I usually push people away, not people, but certain people, and I really don't want to. But that's like an instinctual thing. It's like an inner protection. I don't like when people disappear, but I also relax sort of when they do. It's strange. Depending on how, I mean, previously I could get really, really desperate then, or devastated even, and so. And I for sure probably could be if I let someone in close, very close, and so on. Again, that we had that, I mean, yeah. Although, just feeling it and so on, it depends. It depends. I think I learned a few things. I mean, if someone is mean, for example, as I talk about sometimes, that's just not a place to stay, and that's also why I feel that way around here. So who knows? Maybe I just sit here and talk to myself and never upload them. That would be very surprising. Yeah, I don't know. We will see. I'll do them anyways, because it gives me something. And I never exactly knew who you were anyways. Now I know a few. But I just imagine, I mean, someone. I don't really have a clue who it is out there. I just enjoy and relax doing these. I don't know why. It have become a habit, maybe an addiction of sorts also. I don't want to stop. So yeah, and especially here when I just randomly ramble, and also I like to be authentic, and here is like a space for that, because no one who don't want to listen really do have to. I don't think anyone have to. Yeah, so I saw this film. I mean, I've listened to sometimes, songs come back and back, and this song from Leon, now I don't even recall how it goes. Yeah, anyways, with Sting, I've had it in my mind so much, and for like, I don't know, maybe really long, and it comes back all the time in my mind. And so I thought, okay, I have to see this film again, because I saw it when it came on cinema, or big screen, you see. And I was on a train from north of Sweden to south. I wonder where I lived right then. I probably lived in Jönköping, or no, maybe not. I don't know where I was going actually. Where could I have? Maybe I also was on my way to Stockholm, because there was a time when I was seeking a job at a hospital there. Maybe it was that time, probably actually. And but I had this ring in my nose, and they didn't appreciate that, so I didn't get the job. At the time, it was not so common, those things. I don't have it because because of a promise not to put it there again. Anyway, so on the train, wherever I was going, I remember it was from north of Sweden to south. I think probably I went to school. I lived in, I don't know exactly, honestly. But yeah, maybe Motala, or never mind. I was anyway seeing that film there on the train, Leon. And I don't exactly recall. I knew what it was about, sort of, but I don't really remember it. So now I watched it here a little bit on YouTube. A little bit. It's right after those who hurt her family is dealt with. But yeah, I just thought it was a little bit heavy, so I decided not to see the rest of it right now. I feel enough. Like heavy in a way, in many ways. Maybe my mood is good, but my body is quite heavy, and my head a little bit heavy right now. So I just felt, no, I'll see the rest another day. So and this picture is, I'm going to talk about some, to scry in nature. I've been working intensely lately with a lot of things, mainly Munaki, but it's still, the practices are so intense. They are so, it happens so much. So I love that I push myself to do it, because I teach it, and therefore I have to do it. I'm a little bit lazy otherwise, and stay where I am at, and there is always new areas to explore and develop, and so. And it's really fabulous doing that. I love that those around who wanted to learn various things, that they are there. They help me so much. I hope I can give them anything like it back. But it's difficult. I mean, it's not so very difficult, but it's I see that now when I teach that it's especially if you don't know what you can gain from it. When you haven't experienced certain things, you don't know that they are there and that you can. So to do certain practices that takes a little bit of, I mean, it gets more and more fun the more you get into it and the more you discover. But in the beginning it can be a little bit of, I mean, you need some willpower to push through certain things. And now we're soon moving into the, at least there are those who do it in a slower pace, which is really good that they do. But if we do this medicine wheel in a year, we are now soon moving into the Jaguar phase, which I really look forward to. This have been so intense, the work of the South with the snake, that have really been, it still is quite intense, very rewarding. And I'm kind of in resistance to changing all, because it's very much about, as I've mentioned, about shedding your old skin and stories and find new ways to see things and tell this new story that is a beautiful story about strength. And I really get it. I really understand it. The point, I mean, the meaning, the purpose, and also the efficiency. I mean, if I just remember it shortly, it changes things. So it's really good, but very intense. And I cling extremely much to certain old habits, and I also, yeah, I don't know. I also I realize there are certain things that always make me stumble and fall again back, you know. Although there have been, but I've always, the moments of my life when I have been without these food addiction behaviors and the chemical part of as well of it, is when I've been too sick to do anything else. I mean, absolutely physically really, really ill or dying. Or when I was younger, I mean, young teen, there were occasions where I actually managed a little bit for some kind short while. But then, I mean, nah, it haven't happened since a few days or something. But I see some new keys here, because I know a lot about food. I know a lot about exercise. I know a lot about how I react to certain things. So I can't, like, it's interesting when you get advice from others who don't know your system. You know, it's very unique for everyone. And if I go all in with exercise, I mean, that's could be a good idea, maybe. But I mean, I get inflammations all over, and they spread, I mean, in my shoulder, in my foot, everywhere, you know. I just can't do it. I have to really listen to my body to be able to continue and build. And but I mean, I have to do something. I can't just wait and see if I get in very good shape or something. Yeah. And so yeah, but I've discovered this new, which is obvious, and it have been obvious all the time, but sometimes you just don't see it as clearly. But now I realized that I don't know if I said something about this picture, but it's a picture I took out in the woods. Yeah, I like it with those beard things that are on the trees. They show that there's a good air there. Anyways, yeah, so what was I talking about even? I could sit here and just fall asleep right now. Actually, the thing that I discovered. I've said it already, but that you need release, and I try sometimes when I try to get off of my, and also the whole thing that people don't understand sugar addiction. There are actually people who have never heard about it, and there are people who don't understand even a little bit of it, and there are those who think it's just sugars, because those who have heard about it for long, and still just the other day I was invited to some people who have known forever that I don't eat certain things. Still they say it's not sugars, and then they have all kinds of white flowers and everything in it, which is kind of sugar. Although it's not called exactly sugar, it gives that effect in the body still. And the insulin high and everything. And you gain weight and... yeah. But I try to think about those times where I have actually been in better... eating better, been less compulsive around that and fixated. And also... how that have happened, or how I have managed with that. And one of the clues for sure is that I've gotten some relief, because to get out of any kind of addiction is like tension, high tension, because it's such a stress to get off of it. It's very stressful to be in it as well if you're an addict. It's always the struggle. It never feels like 100% okay, even if you try to not. But if you just think, okay, I will have it like this or something. But I've never thought that when it comes to this. Since I was very young, I've been searching for a way out of it. So, and that it's not like I have done that every other day or even, all the time. So I've learned a few things anyways, which is helpful though, but everything can also be used. I can better not get as sick physically, instantly now, because I can balance it out a little bit better, and it's like a combination of things to make me feel less acutely sick, for example, or stuff. Yeah, but I'm not sure it's it's helpful. It was way worse in a way, but still it takes a toll in the long run as well. So it's really, really not good. And so anyways, I realized that, because I've thought that, okay, I can be so decisive, and then it goes a while, and then I just take a decision I thought I wouldn't, and you keep going like that. And what I really need to recall is that I cannot just have tension. I need to find relief, because that is my relief, and that is my relaxation and peace. Although it's not, but it feels like it at the moment when I crave it or search for it. I'll reach after it, sort of. And there are other things that can do that. Certain things like sleeping, there is a bunch of things that can do that. But when it comes to food, also to have these regular meals, so that the body itself, not only my mind, because the body in itself is quite a strong, it influences strongly, and so that when everything have been upside down, so that it becomes calm and knows that, okay, in a few hours now I will eat this little thing, or of things that I actually managed well. And I've tried recently, when I have been striving towards getting in better balance, I still have wanted to continue with the addiction, but with better things. And that never works. I mean, the amounts of quite okay carbs, let's say, that I probably can deal with in some amount. I mean, normal, regular amounts. But I overdo them, and then, well, there are certain things, even when it comes to certain carbs, that I never overdo. And so I think I need to just stay with those. As they say if you doubt, don't. Then I would never do anything. I'm such a vata person, doubting everything all the time, back and forth. Oh, I'm sorry about that. But anyways, I've been eating some garlic and stuff now. Yeah. Lucky you don't smell my breath. I think it smells good though. I mean, for me right now, not when others stink garlic. Yeah, I like garlic. I don't eat it a lot though. I should probably. Yeah. So, that's where I am at right now. Because that's when my impulses and my decisions, it gets so vague. The decision I took beforehand gets so vague in my brain, so I don't even hear it and recall afterwards, like, gosh, now I took this bad decision again. But it's always when I push myself too far with only tension and no relief or release. And that's what I need to find in other places, and also really take care of myself, really not get all I am very emotional also, and I can get very intensely stressed by certain things related to that sometimes, and even positive things, exciting things can cause me to feel a little bit stressed. It's not that don't mean that I should go around in life never be stressed. That's the odd life. And I've tried that too, because I know that then it works well. But I mean, I will just have to. Then you can't live, so that doesn't work in the long run. But I just have to find those other things that gives that. And I can't ignore that, because if I ignore those needs of relief, then I'm screwed. Then I won't be able to continue eating well, and I will just take bad decisions or get something so that I can't resist, and just not healthy. So hopefully this is a key, like a last puzzle piece. There is maybe never. I mean, it's always this whole thinking that it was like this before and now it's 100% in the other direction, and so it could be, but usually not, maybe. And some like half measure, something somewhere in between, that doesn't work for me either. I mean, I need to find healthy ways that are balanced, and I need to avoid certain things which make other people maybe think it's extreme, but that's because they don't have my history and they don't have my body. They don't know how I react to certain things, and really I don't care. The only one who needs to know is myself. So, and previously also I always said that I can't eat that, and also tried to like explain. I never was really ashamed of it, I don't think. Not that I've been screaming around about it either, but ashamed when I have been actively eating stuff, and also the results of that, how you look, and that have felt bad. it's kind of obvious, you can't hide it, and being out of control kind of is nothing you brag about often. So but when I've tried to work things out, and so I've always been open with that, I think, since I learned about these things myself, not only for me, but I wanted also to others to hear about it if they needed to understand that these things, that gives certain things that are necessary for someone like me to be able to cope and get out of it. Because without the knowledge about the effect quick carbs and the sugars and so have on me, without that I could never have found any kind of way. I mean, it would be totally impossible if I didn't figure it out just by myself, but I would always have stumbled upon something that I couldn't eat. It's like a drug to me, so and it's not easy to get back then it's constant struggle. So back on track. So anyways, do I get somewhere in this video? So like always, I just where am I going with this? But I think this really is the key, and I never saw it. I never understand the whole balance between these things. I did realize that it worked when I was not stressed. But now when I look back at those few times that it have been working better, that's why. So I keep my hopes up and think this will work now then. Who really knows? We will see. I can't say for sure, and it's a little bit humbling because I'm quite a stubborn person. You may not think so if you hear me struggle with this all the time, but I'm quite stubborn, and I mean, probably, not the most stubborn person I know, no, but I'm pretty stubborn, and it seemed a little bit, I don't know, to just not be able to decide these things and deal with these things. That's so surprising even to myself. So I can't really explain it, but it's humbling. I realize that, okay, this is still how it is. This is reality. So, and it's quite obvious then also. But I also know for a fact that it can be changed. I know that it isn't even difficult or hard. It's just that I cannot ignore those things that I need, and I can't ignore the things that I cannot have without triggering it again. Because if I do those things, then I'm losing that sort of battle. But also, as I was going to say, that I always said, as I mentioned, that I always said, I can't have that, or I can't eat that, or blah blah. Then people like want to persuade you, or like as if you have to have an explanation, or I mean, I want to spread knowledge and so on also, so it have not felt like a burden as such. But I realize it's much smarter to say that I have decided not to eat that. I mean, there is no argument needed after that. People tend to argue about whether you can or not. And so, some people. And have their own ideas about how I should be able to do to actually eat it, or I don't know. And you just, you can skip that whole thing. And some say even therapists and people, there are several that I've met that work with these things, that I've said, oh, doesn't it get boring then, or to eat just not those things, or does it not, like, everyone needs to, like, they call it like a treat, when it's just it's a disease. It's poison. To me it is. Although it may feel good, it's still poisonous. So and the variation of good stuff that tastes awesome that I can eat when I don't eat these things, it's a lot. And when I eat these things, it's the only thing I want. Taste nothing, really. I mean, not much. It's just the same. Various labels and so, but it's like sugars in various forms. That's what it is. That's the only thing. I don't have time to eat veggies, or I press myself nowadays to eat a little bit of some proteins or some other things. Meanwhile, but I mean, I get uninterested in everything else that is food. I realize that I may need some nourishment, but I mean, I don't care. That's not what I want. So, and also can afford if I don't have a lot, which is awesome. I would love to have more than I have, but it as I've said before, also it have really saved my life that I don't, in many ways. But one way is that I would have probably not survived that, because I would have eaten myself to death probably if I would have had the opportunity, let's say. Yeah, horrible. So, but anyways, I haven't had to both proteins and better carbs and fruits or berries or stuff, and nuts or seeds or those goodies, and variations of good food and the addiction food, so to speak. It's always more expensive to eat. I mean, when you buy something also, it seems like those things you don't really actually crave seem so expensive, although they aren't. And the nourishment you get is awesome for your body and so and mind and everything. It's the same bloodstream everywhere, so you get fuzzy in your head as well. But yeah. I don't. And now I started to stare at the upper left corner there. Now I think that looks like the larger part there. There's dark around, sort of. Looks almost like an old drum. Those magical drums are my ancestors had. So yeah, I can scry in anything. And it can change also meanwhile. Yeah. Anyways. It's way more varied and much more tasty. Everything. You get energy, health, and good taste. And you start to really feel the taste of other things as well, which makes them so awesomely good. And it's way cheaper, even though exactly when you buy it, it feels like it's expensive. But the amount, and also it always adds to it. I mean, addictions never stand still, they grow. So, I mean, if I start with one little whatever it is, it expands, and I expand. So, eventually I mean, it eats everything. All the money and everything, and the health and everything. Yeah, so. So, and also this whole, as I mentioned before, I really want to open up to love again. I really would want to, and I have not got myself in a shape where I feel that I really have to give which I want to give. It's not about the look so much as it is about a little bit that too, but more so, I don't know, more so the energy and the balance and everything. It feels like I just can't be my best self, and if you love someone or want to be close to someone, that's what you want to share. So yeah, I guess I'm motivated, or I am, and also I think I've gotten a few tools on where to go with this. Probably I can't stay away from here for so long. I will for a while though. Because of the whole environment. But I will talk about this now for a little bit though. Let's see, nature, scrying in nature. Yeah. Wait a second, should I? No, now I don't have to pull cards because you have not heard my latest video, so you haven't been able to say something. So we'll just go on here. Nature, where are you? Yeah. Yeah, so scrying in nature was obviously, one of the most natural things, because people were always in nature and so on, especially for shamans, I would assume. Also, you see that center tree at the bark. Do you say that? That's the Swedish word. I have said that before. It sounds like a dog barking, but the surface of the tree, there, it seems like I don't know. It almost looks like a cat-like face. Do you see it on the lower down there? Central. I mean, if I looked into this picture, I can see how so many things without even trying. A little bit. Yeah. It's marvelous, actually, what you can see. Anyways, also you can see, obviously, different things depending on what question you have in mind and depending on who you are. So things I would see, which also goes for all reality, things I see is something entirely different. But like, let's say tree people or things in nature, I've seen that for many years now. Extremely clear also, so that it's really, you almost fall backwards for the things you see sometimes. That generally is hidden from your view, since you usually don't pay attention and go into that like second sight, relaxed way of looking. But I think changes are really, there are changes going on now. I see a little cougar baby there also, and I see several cats here actually in this image. I will stop scrying this now. Or lions, maybe, rather. Yeah, interesting. Well, yeah. I have thoughts in mind, and then I don't know what they got, where they were gone. No clue. Moving on then. Yeah, if there are leaves in trees, of course, it's sometimes even more easy to see things. But this picture was magical, actually. I didn't see that before. I didn't see it when I chose it. I just thought that this is nature picture. I take it. So since I was going to talk about that. So in leaves and also into lakes and ponds and the clouds. I always see things in clouds. And sometimes when you are like this, you see things everywhere. I mean, it's almost unavoidable. I try to sometimes not to look because the universe and everything around speak to you all the time. That's another thing when it comes to synchronicity. I've heard that expression. I think probably I've said it myself even, but it's not correct. That some people say that if you get more evolved or more spiritual or more in sync, obviously that is what it means, synchronicity, and then you will see these synchronicities starts to happen in your life and so on. But that's not really real because they always happen. Always happens for everyone. The only change is that you start to see them all the time. And the universe speaks to us all the time, constantly replying in various ways to us. And the only change is if we are attentive enough, if we discover it, or if we awaken those inner senses that get the communication that goes on. It's like a different kind of language that we just don't pick up, and we don't understand that there is a communication going on. So that's nothing have changed really but it gets more fun when we realize that is happening all the time. But I try to avoid it. But it's really fun when you meet children also, because they live in this world when all this is always happening. It's so wonderful when you have that sense awakened. You can perceive the same world as they see in a different way than other adults around may. And that's marvelous. It's like this magical world that they live in. You realize that you can actually share it when you have that openness, and also hopefully carry that forward to instill that trust, so that they know they are always cared for by everything, even when they more and more start to turn those senses off and get more sucked in, let's say, into the material world as such, which also is a good thing. There are those of us who never really leave the fantasy land, let's say. It's not that it's not real, but it's like it's a different reality in a way. Yeah. It's like you are able to perceive more than others perceive, but you also perceive what they do. So it's not like it's not nuts. No, it's not nuts. It's not like you've been becoming nuts or lost your mind, because you see the world others see, and you know what that is. But it's surprising sometimes. But life is fantastic, and it's surprising how different it can be for every one of us, what we perceive. And that's really fun. In that way we realize that also this is a very magical place. And space and time. Okay. So now it's getting cold here and snowy, so you can also pick out a tree without sitting at it, I guess, because this is better done in summertime or when it's warm, but it's not impossible. You can take something to sit on and have warm clothes, so it's possible, obviously, but otherwise you can also choose a tree and then meditate on it. Meditate as if you sit there from the beginning, when you're not used to doing those things and you can't perceive them very vividly, then it will not have such an effect on you as actually doing that procedure. So yeah, to actually sit underneath a tree. So, and to just connect your spine with the tree. That's really, really strengthening and powerful. And also see the patterns of the leaves and so on. When you look up, if you sit under a tree. Yeah, and you will get information and so on through the images and insights you get from even those beings in nature. Fairies and those. Yeah. And this night, by the way, I saw them. I didn't pull the curtain. I have these, so I don't usually have it open so that I would look out, or rather, so that not anyone could look in, possibly. But the moon was so beautiful. It's full moon this Sunday, and now it's Thursday, and it's not full, but it was shining. Oh, so beautiful, and the stars even and everything. And I was just laying in bed, having open so I could fall asleep in the moonlight. Oh, she's so beautiful, the moon. And that is also about the whole balance of things. It is shown everywhere in nature. If we just look, all the answers are there. The communication may be in more direct ways, but also in the nature itself as it is, as it functions, its rhythms and everything. It's also perceived in various ways in various cultures, but you can really feel how the moon is so feminine, the reflective force. And I have always been more like this strong sunlight piercing, like blinding people. No, I don't know. But yeah, more pushy as such. And I just start to more and more understand what the moon wants to share and what she wants to show and teach. Although I work with these moon-like realms of the consciousness, still in relationships and in everything else, I've not really invited that softer, reflective, mirroring side of things, where so much mysteries and beauty is. It's like this allure, and I don't know. So this night I was maybe a little bit feverish also then, but it was maybe 11, or because, as I said, I woke up 3 a.m. So, but when I went to bed anyways, I couldn't close the windows. I mean, it was closed, but I mean the curtains, because she was just too beautiful. I needed to lay there, and I was so tired, but I couldn't stop looking, so beautiful. Yeah. So, and also that you can hear the wind speak through when it blows through the trees. You can hear voices maybe that give advice, maybe wise advice or just inspiration. So nature, the sources in nature that you can scry in or communicate with, is endless. It's everything, and also they are timeless because they have always been there. It's awesome to do that. It's like reaching the core of yourself. So we can also take something from nature. We can work outdoors, but we can also take something from nature and work with that indoors, asking for permission though, and be respectful and such. And that may feel strange also to begin with, but I mean, you don't have to stand there and say things. You can just communicate with your mind if you don't want to speak out loud. But because oftentimes when you tune into something, it's even easier to communicate in that sense. So rather than start to vocalize it. But, yeah. Yeah, so, and there is strong protection. It's our mother, Mother Earth. She really cares for us in a very unselfish way, although there is a constant exchange with everything and all her children. It's still, she is so strong and powerful and very protective. So she can really, Father Son as well. I used to work, as I said, with Munaki and Father Son and Mother Earth and Pachamama, there I call her, then from that tradition, and cleanse the aura, for example. There are various techniques to do that, but I mean, so very helpful. They do it. You just have to focus a little bit, but they really do it in a strong way if you let them cleanse you, work with you, purify you. So, and probably you should not like professionally, maybe. I mean, there are, as I said, shamans and so on when you work with nature, but at least start with questions surrounding yourself or family or close ones or group of people that you are close to emotionally or spiritually. So maybe not before you get really into it, you should probably keep it to that. So yeah, but it's very helpful when it comes to healing the powers of nature. You can really make use of that when you do that. And also in whatever work you do, you can strengthen yourself meanwhile as well, as a therapist or medium or so on. So you can work with it, but maybe not getting your advice to others through those sources before you get very acquainted with it, if so. So, but of course you can help others through this too. But it takes a while to get deeply in touch. So, and everyone can learn more. Even if you are professional in this, it's still always more to learn, as well as for beginners. There is always a lot to learn, of course. So, and also there is so much teaching that is like, and that is also another thing that I'm recognized now when I teach. Many want it in this form where they get like it described in words or maybe pictures, but still it should like be so easy to digest and without having to do any communication of sorts or practices themselves. It's like very, I mean, it's just information. It's like, it's so different. It's like reading, as some may compare it with, like reading about a meal or something instead of eating it or anything else, you know. It's just in your mind. It's not real until you practice it, until you take those steps, and they take a little bit of effort, more effort to begin with. Then it gets so inspiring and so fascinating, so it kind of lifts you. but still you have to get it done. I mean, it's easy to get sidetracked because there are so many things that pull you in this world. I think that is also another reason why I like to do this, because it reminds me of the things that I like to focus upon. And sometimes I just ramble about again and again about previous things, but anyway, yeah. So So scrying in clouds, for example, that have all these scrying in nature have, as I said, been done from the beginning of time. So, but obviously clouds, they also change form pretty quickly sometimes, especially if it's blowing or so. But still, it's pretty easy to start to pick up messages in clouds and signs and so. And also just the more obvious ones, like if there is a rainbow or if there is like northern lights or storms or winds, like the nature itself, its movements, aside from the whole symbols or signs that may show up, or even more, it can show up in much more clear ways than that. But yeah, but also nature itself, how it is, as I said. So yeah, and there are so many fascinating things. Oh, I wish really that I could. You can't share that. You can't share your experiences, but there is so much to discover in these realms. I mean, there really is. There is this surface level of everything, and the surface level of what you see in nature or in the waters or oceans, but you can actually, your consciousness can actually journey and discover these things in a really experiential, not experimental, but that too, way, and that's awesome. I mean, it's not like you, to begin with, when you practice, if you haven't done these things, it will not be so fascinating maybe, but when you start to relax and come into it, the things will, if you, for example, this picture, this is how it goes for me anyways, and I think anyone can get there depending on their fascination and practice. Some people have it very natural, and so that will be what you see, even with your eyes closed and journeying. Like, you can just decide to discover the mysteries of nature, and you will see it as clear as with your eyes opened. Whatever part of nature you want to discover more of, communicate more with, and learn more from, and learn about yourself. And that's so fabulous, and the experience of oneness with it all is like dawns on you in a way that you can never read your way to that or hear it through someone else. You have to practice it. That's the only way. You have to start giving yourself some relaxing space and open up to new experiences. And you don't really have to. Some people say that, which I think always thought it was a very strange expression, that if you, only those who believe in magic will see it or something like that, or that's really not true. Magic is real. It's real for everyone, whether you believe it or not. It's there. And magic is not like supernatural. It's natural. And this is not something you have to believe to discover. An openness and not pushing things away, or there are so many ways to push things away, trying too hard or deciding, like, but even if you would decide that this is so untrue, if you would do certain practices that opens your mind, open you up to these things, they will talk to you. They will start to reveal themselves. So you really don't have to believe it. It is an experience. It is like saying that, well, you couldn't talk to other people if you didn't believe you could. That's just silly. Why wouldn't you? That's of course you can. Yeah. You don't have to believe it first. You do. And they will communicate with you. So it's the same thing. It's real. It's nothing you have to first trust before you know. It's not like you have to project anything, because it's, although we also do, and also in this whole oneness of consciousness, maybe we project everything in a way. But I mean, yeah, still, I really have wondered about that saying so many times, and everyone, or many, seem to embrace it, and I just think, what are they saying? Then, I mean, I didn't believe certain things before I experienced, or all of the things before I had experienced them. I thought about that many things are possible that I don't know anything about. I thought that, but I absolutely didn't believe in any of these things before I experienced them. I thought that it could maybe be possible in some kind of way, but I was really skeptical. And so yeah, then that wouldn't have happened. I hope you have seen more of those. Now I see some small fairies going around and sitting here and there, working and doing stuff. Do you see them in the image? I like that large one. That is like, yeah, I hope you see some. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, if you even look. Anyways, yeah. So, and also the whole calmness and peace of nature itself can also bring you into this state of trance, so that your hypnotic state where you start to perceive easier as well. So clouds that move slowly over the sky, it's like good night kind of time or something. Yeah. So there are some things that I do, for example, not always, but many times. Sometimes if you do this sacred circle or some things, I do that every day, many times nowadays, because I do so much spiritual work. So I much more often than I did before, and much more intense. So, but sometimes I just do it quite quickly. But also sometimes I actually communicate with each. I mean, I feel them and I see them when I invite the circle and the four winds and so, but and the animal guides in each directions and so on, and Mother Earth and Father Sky and so. But I also sometimes really listen into what they want to, what their messages are, what they want to convey at the moment and so, each time. And those things, if you continuously learn and grow and develop your connection to this, that comes naturally. You don't have to really push that, but you start to realize that this is an opportunity. This, I can also do this, and they will show you as well. So, yeah. So, and visions of angels. I've seen all kinds, not all kinds, but I've seen a few things in clouds that have been so obvious. I mean, like, so real, so that I have known that it is a cloud, but it could not be formed like that, that kind of detailed visions, let's say, but it have been with normal sight, sort of just looking, and they have been very clear. At my previous place, the previous place I lived at, from that balcony I looked out and saw this huge native sheaf, Native American sheaf with this huge, feather headdress, and he was like so detailed. It was like over the whole sky, this head of this native just stared back at me. I mean, it was like, I didn't photograph it though, and I was, I guess, so surprised by seeing it, so I just didn't even think about that. But it was so extremely clear and detailed, so a cloud cannot just do that, you feel. But then I see many other things as well. Yeah, dragons are common and various things. But yeah. And they will, the more you respect it, and the more, they start to trust that you actually communicate also with them, or you take in their messages, the more they will start to both play with you sometimes maybe, but they will start to communicate with you. And it may feel a bit like you're losing your mind if you're not at all acquainted with these things. But you're not. That's just one part of reality that you haven't been aware of before, so nothing to be afraid about or afraid of. And some people haven't seen that ever, which is quite sad. And their world is so much more narrow. Yeah. So, and that sun sets and so on, it's easier to see certain things, and also natural beautiful spots, or if you can sit up at the top of a mountain. You have heard that many have had visions at the top of mountains. And also in this tradition of Munaki, the mountains is like the most strong place, your most strongest guardian, you can say, in a way, especially the mountain you were closest to when you were born. Not where you lived, but where you actually was born. So, and I live on that mountain, and it's equal. I was mentioning this before, but it's fascinating because I never thought about actually placing myself at this spot here. It's very close to the hospital as well, where I was born. But it's exactly in the center of both my river and my mountain. It's like the equal distance from the top of the mountain and the river. And that's weird. Before I knew these things, how strong impact they have on you where you were born, the closest mountain and the closest water, especially the mountain, and how you also can work with these. And yeah, I just feel like, I'm so grateful. They have just decided to put me here and strengthen me, and I love them for it. Yeah. Of all places. So yeah, but many have had visions on of things on mountains when they're meditated, as well as calling on angels on mountains, and in Glastonbury, the tour, maybe you've heard about, and so on. Yeah. And also, just for fun, don't be too be playful. It's good to be playful, because you can scare yourself a bit if you start to understand the power of these things and you weren't aware before. So also don't practice too much. If you feel that you lose a little bit, that you don't feel that you are as steady with your feet on the ground, maybe you should pause for a little while and wait and go back later to do practices, but or do smaller things that still make you feel good and be very grounded. It's really important to be grounded, but in nature it's also easier in that way, because it's grounding in itself. So it's less likely to lose touch with reality in the same way as it is if you're indoors. Nature will like heal you from that quite easily. So, but also just relax and get away from stress in your everyday life. You know, to watch clouds go by and so on. You don't have to think about scrying even in them. You can just do that. Let them relax you. That's a communication in itself. So, yeah. And you can do that very spontaneously. It's good if there is pretty good weather, but it doesn't have to be. So, and if you're driving around and see various formations and so on, it's good to, like, if you have a blanket or so on, so you can stop the car and get out and just sit and meditate on the clouds. If you want to practice to scrying clouds, then it's good to have some little preparation with you. Yeah. And there can also be shown in different colors, of course, and so on. They can be, you know how clouds can be. They can be in all kinds of ways. I mean, fluffy or more thin, straight, and so on. And then, of course, you can, like every other thing you do, you can start to ask questions later on. But before then, just take your time to watch clouds at various places and various times of the day and night. So at the sunrise, or over the ocean or a lake, or when it's not so windy, an afternoon, or, you know, study clouds, just looking at them. Become familiar with looking at clouds before you start to. Maybe it works, you can try if you want to, but it's better to get in tune with them, sort of, before you start to ask questions. As with everything, as with water, as I said, to become familiar with that element so that you feel comfortable with it, you know. So, and even, if it's very windy, or variations, you know, of clouds. And also some clouds, I'm sorry, I have to just move a bit. They can be like those almost black clouds, or, all kinds of. When I went to Waldorf teacher education, we painted a lot of just variations of gray, and then I discovered how beautiful gray is. Like those days when it's just gray out and various nuances of gray clouds in the sky, I think that's so beautiful. I get almost intoxicated because I started to really see the beauty of that. Otherwise you think, oh, it's a bad weather kind of day or something. Oh, sorry, I have some itch here in my ear. Yeah, but so kind of really look at variations. Yeah, and of course, if you fly, that's also another thing that I love to do. I don't do that a lot, but I mean, if in an airplane, if you sit, I always choose, if I am able to sit at the window. I have sometimes been sitting alongside someone who does not look out and does not seem fascinated if they are closest to the window. And I mean, wow, to be above the clouds and just, or see that from that perspective, it's awesome. Yeah, of course. So, and not try to force yourself to see images. Just watch the clouds themselves, and note like the feelings that awakens in you while you watch them. And don't try to push it. Don't stress this experience. And as with every scrying, it's really good to not have the need to look at the time, or have, know that, okay, I can do this now for 15 minutes and then I need to be ready for, or whatever, you don't have to sit for long, but just that you have this peaceful time when you don't feel like, okay, maybe it's easy to feel that all the time, but hopefully that you don't feel, okay, I should be somewhere else doing something else now. And you have to go into that here and now experience and let time fly, let go of time. Now I see another being with wings. It's not a bird even. Like, I should stop crying at that one. Yeah, so and also to, if you call them Father Sky or the sky, to find an open spot when you want to then ask questions, but first tune in some way and don't rush. Some open field it can also be, if it's not at the summit of a hill or something, and sit there. At a time when those clouds are separated enough so that you can't see images in them, or that they can create images rather, and then create a link to the guardians or the energy at the place, and ask them to protect you and give you energy, and also connect to the clouds. And breathe gently and regularly, like softly and in a smooth rhythm, and let all thoughts and all worries in your mind just float away like clouds, as they used to say, So let there be calm around this. And even if you don't then see anything, it's really rewarding to just let this give you the nature, to give you that peace. And if you want to, then you can imagine that your energy field is connected with the grass and the sky, and so that you breathe in sync with nature. You breathe its rhythm. So, and then you can allow a question or an area of your life that you want to get some understanding of or something. Let it come naturally. And if you want to actually formulate a question, ask it softly, and breathe gently between each word. And then sit or lay down so that you are totally comfortable, and close your eyes to the half and let these images float in front of you. So it can be one cloud that creates a big scene, or it can be several that may be close or connected or so on, so as if they are one idea themselves together. And if one cloud floats after another, it can seem as something chasing something else, or so on. And yeah, however that resolves itself, and get as much information as possible from each image and idea. So if you see a dragon, for example, to see what it's doing. Is it fire dragon? Does it come fire, or is it wild? Or how is its energy? can you hear or see the waves of the movements of the wings, or other, what are they doing, like, or so? Or are they guarding something? Probably the thing is to formulate this in a way, because you will probably realize when you see something that is really clear, you'll probably realize that that you already know a lot of information about it, because when you pick it up to see, then you also have these intuitive receptors, sort of. They are so fine-tuned, so you probably know what it wants, or sort of have a sense of that, or what it reflects and why, and so something, or at least clues that may become clarified later on even. But so or is it the little dragon that is just born, or is it huge, or is it like a paper dragon, or is it like what does it represent? Sometimes it's an actual being, let's say, that you can communicate with like that. Sometimes it's an image that represents maybe you or someone else. So, and what the messages are from this dragon to you, for example, then. So it can be very short time if it moves quickly, and then it changes quicker, and that's good because you don't have time to get so logical if it moves quicker. It's easier later to do it when it's more still. And it's good to, after each image, to draw a sort of a rough sketch of or a keyword in a notebook or so of what it was, so you can afterwards recall and think about it. Because also when you go into another state of consciousness a little bit, then you will not remember as well, because until maybe you go into that state again, but it's very easy to forget. So it's very good to record. You will get better at remember when you have gotten used to recording it, but then probably you want to still do it because it's easier to remember. But yeah. So yeah. And meanwhile you sit there and see those things. Don't analyze them at the time, even though you may kind of pick up that you know certain things, or you don't have to analyze those things. Just be open to and curious, like, what is it that I see? That kind of thing. And then wait. Meanwhile, the clouds move and create new forms, and keep going until you have at least 4 or 5 images that is related to your question then. And if there is another question that come up spontaneously, you can do the same procedure and then use a new series of images. And then, or if you don't want to continue and just do this first one, just thank the guardian of this place and put a small coin down into the earth as a thank you. And you can also, when you work with energy, you can actually it's an exchange, whatever it is. It's a token of appreciation, and that's what it is. It's sort of a communication. And to begin with, it's good if it's like a little bit more physical. I did that before. I never thought that I made like sacrifices or so on, and I don't see it that way. But it's not like a bargain situation. It's rather a natural appreciation thing. So it's not. Yeah, that's kind of the feel. But previously I actually did that quite a lot. left some small appreciations like that. Sometimes that happens now also, but now I work a lot with the energy, so I give back in that way as well. So there are so many things that are perceived as valuable. So it's about that exchange. Yeah. And it's good to sit quietly a moment afterwards also. Meanwhile, you look at the clouds without trying to make any conscious images or connections. Just keep watching them and be quiet like for a while, just to kind of tune out also from what you did. And then if you go home or to the car or where you go, just keep this peace. Don't rush from that and jump up and just move on to the day, whatever appointments, but let yourself move slowly, like as Thich Nhat Hanh says, walk as if your feet are kissing the earth. Be in tune with it, keep that connection with nature. And also when you keep that calmness in your physical body as well, there will still keep your intuitive mind, you will keep making connections. It's like a prolonged session of sorts. You will give it an opportunity to not have this logical mind totally take over, although it awakens a little bit more then, so you can see what the purpose was and so. And before dark then, if possible, or at the light of white candles, write down your sketches or words from this cloudscrying, if you have a special psychic diary of sorts or something. And if you still don't understand the connections, then you can also weave a story around those images. You can like let your imagination run free and be at the center of yourself in this story, because that also can unlock what you. I mean, it's good to soften the boundaries so that you are able to pick up a story in it if you're not used to doing so. So even if it's just a made-up story, you will maybe then suddenly see certain connections then and understand what those pictures want to say. So, yeah. And before you go to sleep, look into the night sky and ask that wisdom that came to you to be expanded in your dreams, so you get more information what they wanted to say. And at any point, if you feel discomfort or disconnected, or like you are not grounded, do anything you want or need to do that to be grounded. Physical activities or engagements or eating food. Put a little touch of, if you're really sensitive like I used to be, you can always put a touch of salt at the tip of your tongue to quickly ground yourself if you start to fade out, let's say, or space out. So yeah, so you don't have to go on with all these steps in any of the things that I've described. If you feel like it's getting a little bit overwhelming, just calm down and do it another time. And if you want then to do all the steps, but if you want to get the most out of it, then so that you will continuously get some information in the dreams then. And close your eyes when you're laying in bed and either imagine these clouds that you saw in the blue sky or the stars while you then slowly let yourself fall asleep. And you can obviously also scrying clouds with others, like 2 or 3 friends or so, or family members that you trust, or partners, on like a group activity. Also, if you want to resolve relationships problems or so, and if you want to have prophecies, yeah, it doesn't have to be about the future, and it doesn't have to be like global things that you see or get messages of. It can be related to just that small group, and it can be about the now as well. Yeah, but if you do it with others, it's good then to strategize, so you have an idea what to do with this common adventure or activity. Or you can also record it or so on, and get some material to remember. And you can just describe the technique to others beforehand, so that if they don't know it, it's not very difficult. But yeah. But as I say, it's good to sit either at the top of a hill or something, or at an open space, so that everyone also, or both, look at the same piece of clouds, or in the same direction, or a predetermined space in the sky. And in the same manner then, greet the guardians at the place, and you can do a common greeting, or everyone can do it in their own ways, and then sit silently and watch the clouds. And you don't have to decide about a question. If there is a decision you want to make as a group, then that need to be known then. But otherwise, you can just leave your senses open to experience inspiration. Yeah. And then you just decide who should start with what they observe in the clouds, and let that person talk until that all that inspiration they get are told. And then, yeah, whatever they see, they may say that I see this lioness, let's say. And don't be afraid to express emotions or impressions. And if it's possible, put this image in a context. If you see things around where she's walking or laying down, or if there are others around, or if you get a sense of what this image, where she's going to, or anything like that. And when the first person then have stopped and told what they saw, next person then start through another clouds, and the scene may be attached to previous ones, but oftentimes the link in between aren't all that clear. Maybe a wolf and whatever they see around that. And yeah, and if you work with a partner, you can take turns and choosing images and tune in on the other's vision as well, so that you can see the same, and maybe also develop it together and see where it goes. So yeah, and after, when you've ended, you can then play the recording and also listen silently, and then discuss ideas in between you all to see how they are connected, or if there are certain things that are clear. So, and if there are divisions that are clear, then see how to resolve those. Yeah. So, and if there is activities going on in the clouds, what you see, what happened first, and what can all of these things happen without anyone getting injured in it, or what images are connected to each other, or so on. And was there any very unexpected things? And and you can also develop the story by yourself when you're alone, maybe poetry or painting or something like that, or even sculpturing or something. And you may also get into it when you dream then, and see how these the context of it all get clarified. And then later you can share these insights with a group or a family or your partner or whomever you do it with. Oh, need to drink it more. So, my voice is a little bit... Maybe I should I go on or should I pause for a while? I think I will pause and take on or continue another day. It's too long to continue now. But some people see angels in clouds, and also the light, how it shines through, and the strength of that have an impact on what they will want to reveal or say. So they can be very spontaneous, as I said. So higher beings or whatever, and many times they show themselves at the sunset. So and especially when you need extra guidance or encouragements, and to stop if you get a vision of sorts, and if it's possible, and take some time to study your angel vision or what it is, preferably until it vanishes, which often happens in a few minutes. So, but it can seem a lot longer. There was also a time I saw as if there were like 7 huge angels like flying side by side. It was a few years ago. That was beautiful. Over the whole sky they were. I had never seen clouds like that. We were walking then and looking up and saw these. And they were amazing. It was at the midst of the day, I think, but still. Or, kind of noon or something. And also you can get words or wise like sayings or so on coming into your mind, and take that as part of a message as well. It reflects the wisdom that comes through you, and may have deeper things to reveal and understandings. So, and also the dates, if there are special occasions that, when things show up, you may not think of that right then, but if there have been someone close that have passed, for example, or that date or so on, that may be a hello or a special message to you from them. So to take that in consideration also when you see visions of sort, in whatever way you see them, but also in the sky. But it's a positive vision when you see those angels. Or that you get help, or that things are forgiven if need be, or acceptance, or something really good is the message with that. I think then I will get to the whole cloudscrying, like fire and smoke, but I think I will wait with that a little bit to just relax my voice and sorry. Oh gosh, it dropped into the floor, all kinds of things here. Yeah. I will have to stop now anyways. But yeah. I don't know if you ever will hear this, and lucky you if you don't. But if you hear it, you hear it. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thanks if you're there. And yeah, that's that for now.